Welcome to Module 1, Security Management under Protection of Assets. In this first chapter, we begin with one of the most important and transformative concepts in modern security leadership, Enterprise Security Risk Management, or ESRM. If you are preparing for the CPP certification, this chapter is foundational. But beyond the exam, ESRM represents a mindset shift, especially important for professionals transitioning from the armed forces into corporate security leadership roles. Traditionally, security was seen as protection of assets, guarding facilities, controlling access, preventing theft. However, today's corporate world expects security leaders to do much more. Security is no longer just about protection. It is about risk management aligned with business objectives. In this chapter, we will understand what ESRM really means, why it represents a strategic transformation, how it aligns security with enterprise goals, and how security professionals become trusted business advisors. As we move forward, remember, ESRM is not just a framework. It is a leadership approach. Enterprise security risk management is a strategic transformation in how organizations approach security. Earlier, security operated as a standalone function, often reactive, sometimes isolated from core business decisions. But ESRM changes that completely. ESRM integrates security risk management with business objectives. It ensures that security decisions support organizational strategy, growth, reputation, and sustainability. In simple terms, instead of asking, "How do we protect this asset?" we now ask, "What risks threaten our business objectives, and how can security help manage them?" This shift transforms the role of a security professional, from a protector of assets, to a manager of risk, and ultimately, to a strategic business partner. Under ESRM, the business owns the risk. Security provides expertise. Risk decisions are aligned with enterprise priorities. For professionals transitioning from uniformed services, this concept is extremely important. In the armed forces, command authority and decision-making structures are clear and hierarchical. In corporate environments, influence, collaboration, and advisory roles become critical. ESRM equips you to function effectively in that environment. As we proceed, we will explore how this transformation evolved and how organizations moved from traditional security models to modern ESRM-based approaches. As we now understand what ESRM is, let us look at how this transformation actually happened. To appreciate ESRM, we must first understand the traditional approach to security. Until the 21st century, security functions operated largely in silos. There was travel security. There was physical security. There was contractor security. Each operated independently. Security professionals were typically the sole owners of their domains, making decisions in isolation. The focus was tactical and operational, protecting specific assets rather than managing enterprise-wide risk. In that model, security was program-driven. It was activity-based and often reactive. But organizations began to realize that risks were not isolated. They were interconnected. A failure in one area could impact the entire enterprise, financially, operationally, and reputationally. This realization triggered an evolution. In 2010, the ASIS Chief Security Officer Roundtable began formally discussing risk management as the primary process for managing security. This was a critical shift. Instead of running security as separate programs, the emphasis moved to applying risk principles and coordinating closely with senior management, the leaders who actually own the operational risks. By 2017, the ASIS Board of Directors formally recognized the value of ESRM and embedded it as the foundation for modern security management. Then, in 2019, the Enterprise Security Risk Management Guideline was officially published, providing clear definitions and structured implementation guidance. And today, ESRM represents a fundamental shift in professional identity. Security professionals are no longer just program managers. They are strategic partners. They are trusted advisors. They work alongside asset owners to identify, assess, mitigate, and monitor risks that threaten business objectives. For those transitioning from the armed forces, this is a very important mindset shift. Authority is replaced by influence. Control is replaced by collaboration. Isolation is replaced by integration. That is the journey to ESRM. And in the next part of this chapter, we will break down the core principles and process steps that make ESRM operational in real organizations. Now that we understand the journey and transformation, let us clearly define what ESRM actually is. Enterprise Security Risk Management is a strategic approach to security management. It ties an organization's security practice directly to its overall business strategy, using globally accepted and established risk management principles. This is very important for your CPP preparation. ESRM is not a program. It is not just another security initiative. It is a management process or system. That distinction is critical. Programs are activities. Processes guide decisions. ESRM is a decision-making framework that ensures security efforts support enterprise objectives. Let us break this down further. Strategic connection. First, ESRM creates a strategic connection. It links all key elements of security risk with organizational assets. Instead of security professionals making isolated decisions, asset owners are involved in risk-based decision-making. This means business leaders understand the risks, evaluate trade-offs, and make informed choices, with security acting as the expert advisor. This alignment ensures that security investments support real business priorities. Scalable and dynamic. Second, ESRM is scalable and dynamic. It is not limited to large multinational corporations. It can be adopted by private or public sector organizations of any size. It adapts to organizational complexity, structure, and maturity level. Whether an organization is highly centralized or geographically distributed, ESRM can be tailored accordingly. This flexibility makes it universally applicable. Risk-focused. Third, and most importantly, ESRM is risk-focused. It addresses all security risks to organizational assets. It identifies, analyzes, prioritizes, and mitigates risks in a structured manner. Rather than trying to eliminate all threats, which is impossible, ESRM helps organizations manage risk to an acceptable level. It ensures mitigation strategies are proportionate, cost-effective, and aligned with business tolerance. For professionals transitioning from the armed forces, this is a powerful shift in thinking. The objective is no longer maximum control at any cost. The objective is balanced risk management aligned with business strategy. Security becomes a value enabler, not just a cost center. In the next section, we will begin examining the core ESRM process steps and how this framework is implemented in real-world organizations. Now that we understand what ESRM is, let us clearly compare it with traditional security management. This comparison is extremely important for the CPP exam, and even more important for real-world application. Role transformation. In the traditional model, the security professional was primarily a manager of programs. He or she designed controls, enforced policies, and ensured compliance. Under ESRM, the role transforms. Security professionals become risk advisors. They facilitate discussions, provide expertise, and guide asset owners in making informed risk decisions. This shift moves security from operational enforcement to strategic advisory. Decision ownership. Traditionally, security made the decisions. If there was a vulnerability, security decided the control. If there was a threat, security determined the response. But ESRM changes decision ownership. The business, meaning the asset owner, owns the risk. Security provides analysis and recommendations. The final decision rests with those responsible for business operations. This creates accountability where it belongs. Holistic approach. Traditional security often focused on isolated programs. Physical security was separate from information security. Travel security was separate from contractor management. ESRM adopts a holistic approach. It integrates all security risks across the enterprise and evaluates them in relation to business objectives. This prevents duplication, reduces silos, and improves strategic alignment. Proactive management. Finally, traditional security was often reactive. An incident occurred, and then controls were strengthened. ESRM emphasizes proactive management. Risks identified before incidents occur. Threats are analyzed continuously. Mitigation strategies are aligned with changing business conditions. This is modern security leadership. For professionals transitioning from the armed forces, this difference is critical. You are no longer just implementing protection measures. You are shaping risk decisions that influence business outcomes. As ESRM gained popularity, several misconceptions also emerged. Let us clarify two of the most common ones. Misconception 1. ESRM is convergence. Some believe ESRM simply means combining physical security and information security under one leader. That is not correct. Convergence refers to structural integration, bringing different security disciplines together. ESRM is broader. ESRM is a risk management framework. An organization can practice ESRM even if physical and information security report separately. Similarly, an organization can have convergence without fully implementing ESRM. The two concepts are related, but they are not the same. Misconception 2. ESRM is ERM. Another common misunderstanding is that ESRM is the same as Enterprise Risk Management, or ERM. ERM is the organization-wide framework that manages all types of risk: financial, operational, strategic, compliance, and more. ESRM focuses specifically on security-related risks. You can think of ESRM as a specialized application of risk management principles within the security domain. In many organizations, ESRM aligns with and supports the broader ERM framework. But ESRM can also exist independently where formal ERM structures are not fully developed. For your CPP preparation, remember this clearly. ESRM is a security risk management framework aligned with enterprise objectives. It is not convergence. It is not ERM. It is a structured process that transforms how security delivers value to the organization. Now that we understand the framework and how it differs from traditional security, let us examine the benefits of ESRM. These benefits can be viewed from two perspectives: for security professionals and for the organization. For security professionals. First, ESRM strengthens professional credibility. Instead of being seen as an operational function, security becomes strategically aligned with business objectives. This increases visibility and influence at senior management levels. Second, it enhances risk management capabilities. Security professionals begin using structured risk methodologies rather than relying purely on experience or instinct. This improves analytical thinking and decision quality. Third, ESRM encourages organizational understanding. Security leaders gain deeper insight into business priorities, financial drivers, and operational dependencies. This makes their recommendations more practical and business relevant. Fourth, it promotes innovation and problem solving. When security aligns with enterprise objectives, it becomes easier to propose cost-effective and creative mitigation strategies. And finally, ESRM leads to resource optimization. Security budgets are justified based on risk impact and business value, not on historical spending patterns. For the organization. From the organization's perspective, ESRM enables informed decision-making. Risk ownership is clearly defined, and asset owners understand their responsibilities. It improves stakeholder engagement. Security discussions are no longer isolated. They involve leadership, operations, IT, HR, and other key departments. It enhances visibility. Management gains clear insight into security risks and how they align with strategic priorities. It strengthens alignment with corporate objectives. Security investments are directly connected to protecting revenue, reputation, and operational continuity. And ultimately, it builds resilience. By managing risks proactively, organizations become better prepared for disruptions and crises. In simple terms, ESRM transforms security from a cost center into a value enabler. Let us now look at the ESRM framework itself. The ESRM framework is built around a comprehensive security risk management approach. To understand it clearly, we focus on three essential components. 1. The context of ESRM. Every organization operates within a unique context. This includes its structure, culture, industry, regulatory environment, geographic footprint, and stakeholder expectations. Security risks cannot be evaluated in isolation from this context. Understanding the organization's mission, vision, values, and operating environment is the starting point of effective ESRM. 2. The ESRM cycle. At the heart of ESRM lies a structured process. This includes identifying assets, assessing risks, developing mitigation strategies, implementing controls, and continuously monitoring outcomes. It is a continuous cycle, not a one-time exercise. Risk conditions change, threats evolve, and business priorities shift. Therefore, ESRM is dynamic and ongoing. 3. The foundation of ESRM. The foundation of ESRM is collaboration and governance. Asset owners are responsible for risk decisions. Security professionals provide expertise. There must be transparency, accountability, and communication across departments. Without governance and leadership support, ESRM cannot function effectively. This framework ensures security risk management is systematic, repeatable, and aligned with enterprise objectives. Now let us explore the context of ESRM in more detail. For ESRM to function effectively, we must understand the environment in which the organization operates. There are 5 key contextual elements. Mission and vision. The organization's mission defines its purpose. Its vision defines where it wants to go. Security must support both. Risk decisions should never contradict organizational direction. Instead, they should enable long-term success. Core values. Every organization operates based on core values. These values influence decision-making, culture, and acceptable risk tolerance. Security strategies must align with these values. For example, an organization that prioritizes transparency and ethics will approach risk differently from one focused purely on speed and growth. Operating environment. The operating environment includes industry conditions, regulatory requirements, geographic risks, political climate, and technological landscape. Security risks differ significantly depending on these factors. Understanding this environment is critical to accurate risk assessment. Stakeholders. Stakeholders include employees, customers, shareholders, regulators, partners, and the community. Each stakeholder group has expectations regarding security and risk management. ESRM ensures these expectations are recognized and addressed appropriately. When you combine mission, values, environment, and stakeholders, you create a complete picture of organizational context. And only within that context can security risks be properly identified, assessed, and managed. Now we move from theory to practice. This slide explains how ESRM actually works in real organizational settings. The ESRM cycle describes how security risks are systematically identified, evaluated, and mitigated. Its most defining characteristic is this. It emphasizes understanding organizational assets and actively involving asset owners in the risk management process. Let us walk through the cycle step by step. Step 1. Identify assets. Everything begins with identifying assets. Assets are not limited to physical property. They include people, information, technology, facilities, brand reputation, intellectual property, critical processes. If you do not clearly identify what must be protected, you cannot manage risk effectively. This step requires collaboration with business leaders to understand what truly drives organizational value. Step 2. Prioritize risks. Once assets are identified, the next step is assessing and prioritizing risks. Not all risks are equal. Some have high probability but low impact. Others have low probability but catastrophic impact. Through structured risk assessment, we evaluate threats, vulnerabilities, likelihood, potential impact, and then we prioritize them based on business consequences. This ensures that resources are allocated intelligently. Step 3. Mitigate risks. After prioritization comes mitigation. Mitigation does not always mean elimination. It may involve reducing risk, transferring risk, accepting risk, or avoiding risk. The key point is this. Asset owners make the final decision. Security professionals provide analysis, recommendations, and technical expertise, but ownership remains with the business. This reinforces accountability and strategic alignment. Step 4. Continuous improvement. The cycle does not end with mitigation. Risks evolve. Threat actors adapt. Business priorities change. Therefore, ESRM requires continuous monitoring, reassessment, and improvement. Lessons learned from incidents, audits, and changing environments feed back into the cycle. This makes ESRM dynamic and sustainable. Key roles in the ESRM cycle. Now let us clarify the roles involved. First, the asset owner. This is the person most directly responsible for the asset's success and performance. They own the risk. Second, top management. They provide oversight, governance, and leadership support. Without executive commitment, ESRM cannot function effectively. Third, the security professional. This role transforms into that of a subject matter expert and trusted advisor. Security guides the process, provides risk analysis, and supports informed decision-making. Scope of ESRM. Finally, understand the scope. ESRM applies to all types of assets: physical, information, cyber, personnel, and more. It does not operate in silos. If something falls within the responsibility of security, it falls within the scope of ESRM. This integrated approach prevents fragmentation and ensures comprehensive protection aligned with enterprise strategy. As we conclude this chapter, let us understand the foundation that sustains enterprise security risk management. ESRM is not just a cycle or a framework. It stands on 4 critical building blocks that ensure long-term success and sustainability. Holistic risk management. First, holistic risk management. ESRM considers all types of security risk: physical, cyber, information, personnel, and operational. There are no silos. All stakeholders participate in the risk management process. Asset owners, top management, and security professionals work together. This integrated approach ensures that risks are evaluated in the context of enterprise objectives, not in isolation. Holistic thinking prevents fragmented decision-making and strengthens organizational resilience. Partnership with stakeholders. Second, partnership with stakeholders. Under ESRM, security professionals do not operate through authority alone. They engage. They collaborate. They advise. They provide guidance instead of instructions. They support decisions instead of imposing them. Discussions are based on measured risk analysis, not fear, assumptions, or uncertainty. This partnership model builds trust and long-term credibility. Transparency. Third, transparency. Transparency exists in 2 forms. Risk transparency means representing risks clearly and objectively, using measurable data and structured assessment. Process transparency ensures that stakeholders understand how risk decisions are made and how mitigation strategies are implemented. When transparency exists, accountability increases. And when accountability increases, governance becomes stronger. Governance. Finally, governance. Governance defines the rules, structure, and oversight mechanisms for security risk management. Organizational governance directs the enterprise. ESRM governance ensures that security risk policies are aligned with enterprise priorities. It allocates resources appropriately. It ensures compliance. And it creates structured oversight through leadership and stakeholder engagement. Without governance, ESRM cannot function effectively. Closing. So as we complete Chapter 1 on enterprise security risk management, remember, ESRM is a strategic transformation. It aligns security with business objectives. It shifts ownership of risk to asset owners. And it positions security professionals as trusted advisors and strategic partners. For those transitioning from the armed forces to corporate leadership roles, mastering ESRM is not just about passing the CPP exam. It is about adopting a modern security leadership mindset. Thank you for being part of this learning journey. If you found this session useful, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. We run free structured support for CPP and PMP certifications, especially for armed forces professionals transitioning to corporate roles. Stay connected, and we will continue building your expertise, step by step. See you in the next session.